Ari Lennox is trending again today, and this time it's because of what she said about the late, great Bernie Mac.
I like to talk, y'all, and I like to think. Hell, I just watched the Bernie Mac stand up a few years back, and I understand why he is a legend that he is, but I also couldn't help but to feel uncomfortable about some of his jokes, too.
Ari was talking, the internet was listening, and before you knew it, our community on social media pulled up with a whole neighborhood watch committee in the comments. And of course, the reaction was instant and loud. The phrase of the day seemed to be Ari, shut the up. But if you've been following Ari lately, you know this isn't the first time she's ruffled some nostalgic feathers. Recently, Ari had thoughts about the television show Martin. In case you missed it, here's what she said.
Thing that pissed me off about Martin was how much he would go on Pam. I'm not like too woke or something is what I'm trying to say. Like I'm honestly problematic. I'm pretty problematic, low key. But my point is that there are some things where I draw the line and it just bothered me. Or like Pam was so beautiful and so fine. And I just feel like growing up as a chocolate girl, I don't even know if I was able to understand the greatness of Pam because of the light that I feel like I was being fed. I'm just like always going on Pam, always like that's all I remember. It just would piss me off, like the joking on Pam. I just didn't like that.
And when a lot of people in the community reacted, let's just say not positively, Ari didn't exactly moonwalk backwards.
If I had ill intent, I would have came on here with a PowerPoint presentation that backs my claims on the types of jokes Martin used on Pam being wildly offensive. That will never be my intent or motive, but I will stand on business forever knowing them jokes was wild. And I don't say any of this with any desire to rewrite history. Those actors and actresses are legends, and I meant no harm to them. I don't need any army of people defending me or agreeing with me. That has always been a rare occurrence for me. But I feel amazing in knowing that I will validate myself and my feelings before I look to you for yours. I never was a fan of roasting, period, as I am a very sensitive and I will for sure drag somebody to hell every time.
Ari said she's not here to rewrite history, and honestly, I feel her on that. I can name plenty of black TV classics we could tear apart for being problematic if we wanted to. In Living Color, Good Times, The Jeffersons, Living Single, Sanford and Son. Do I want a sanitized, politically correct remake of any of them? No. Would I mind if people use them to spark real conversations about the social issues they touch? Not at all. So, where do I land on all this? A lot of us are doing the most when it comes to Ari. When it comes to Martin, the colorism topic is not new. So I just want to say Ari Lennox is not introducing this thought to our culture. This is something that people have talked about way before Ari mentioned it. And one of these social media posts about colorism and Martin that's over 9 years old, they talk about the angry dark skinned friend. And they say that there's a common pattern in many forms of black media where there are two black female characters who are friends or sisters, one being lighter in skin tone while the other is darker. Okay, the main character focus of the two is typically the lighter skinned woman. This makes the darker skinned woman the sidekick. The lighter skinned woman is portrayed as prettier, nicer, classier, more reserved, and or overall more likable and desirable. The darker skinned woman is portrayed as shady, mean, loud, desperate, abrasive, aggressive, and or overall less attractive. This social media post then goes into a few examples. They use Coming to America, where they talk about the darker skinned sister was more desperate for a man, chasing after Prince Akeem, Simi, and even her sister's ex fiance. In the frame of society's norms, she just looked fast, tacky, or lacking in morals, not wifey material. They talked about House Party, where the darker skinned friend, AJ Johnson, was the louder, more outgoing friend who was ready to date both kid and play, whereas Tisha Patricia Campbell's character was more timid and ended up being kids' better suited love interests. They talked about, of course, Martin. They talked about Gina and Pam, and they said Gina, the love interest to the main character. While Gina is depicted as a kinder, classier professional, James, played by Sheena Arnold, is depicted as a loud, angry, manless, berating black woman with buckshots and BDBs who was constantly butting heads with Martin. They mentioned the Proud family, where they talk about Penny, the lighter skinned girl, was the main character with Dejanay, the darker skinned girl, as the friend's sidekick. Dejanay had a less traditional name, as did her many siblings. Was portrayed as louder, having more attitude, and was constantly chasing after Sticky, a boy who not only didn't want her, but preferred the lighter skinned friend Penny. So that is all out there from over 9 years ago, and there were several, several articles out there about this. So this is not a new uh, concept or idea that has been discussed in our community, and Ari Lennox is not the one introducing this topic to us as and specifically as it relates to Martin. What I can tell you though from my research is that Ham is well thought of. When I tell you the amount of comments from posts from 2, 3, 4, 5, over 9 years ago that talk about how bad people think Pam is. When I say bad, y'all know what I mean by that. How good looking people think Pam is, fine she is, how fly she is, how there are comments out there from a lot of guys who are like, give me Pam, me and my friends, we're into Pam. So Pam was definitely not viewed by the public at large anyway as this unattractive dark skinned friend. That's not what I got from the research. Now, that does not change that somebody who's living a dark skinned black girl experience may not still feel away because many in our culture still trip on dark skinned black women, and we're not going to act like that's not true. So we're not diminishing people's experiences over here. Now back to what Ari Lennox had to say. On the Martin stuff, she's speaking from her lived experience as a dark skinned black woman, and we can't pretend like that doesn't come with its own set of challenges inside our own community. We can't. We can't pretend that doesn't exist. It's not just about complexion jokes. like many of you have voiced, I've never heard Martin make any complexion specific jokes. But it's also about how certain features tied to dark skinned black women get picked apart even when they're the exact same as those of lighter skinned women. These are real issues, and we should never be so quick to tell someone from a marginalized position in our culture, especially someone who's often the butt of ignorant jokes, that their story doesn't matter. And some of y'all are treating Ari's comments like they're a cultural crime scene when the actual crime is that the stuff is still happening and it hurts. Now, on the Bernie Mac thing, I don't know exactly what rubbed Ari the wrong way, but I do know this. Bernie said plenty in his stand up that he couldn't get away with today. And that's not unique to him. If we go full politically correct mode, entertainment becomes fake, in my opinion. The truth is, the human experience is messy. That's why I still appreciate shows like All in the Family. Archie Bunker was a straight up racist who always got the clown edit. Archies exist. So sanitizing everything just erases the complexity of people. And I don't think that is what we need. But here's the flip side. I get why people are coming for Ari. Bernie Mac and Martin aren't just shows or comedians to a lot of us. They're black cultural treasures. They're memories of laughing with family, comfort on a bad day, that one liner you could quote in your sleep. So, yeah, folks get protective. And I get it. I get that. But at the end of the day, Ari Lennox can have her opinions. We don't have to agree. And she's clearly not scared of being social media's main character of the day. But the real question is, are we going to keep acting like her experiences are an attack on the culture? Or are we going to recognize that hearing someone's truth doesn't mean we have to erase ours. That's my take. What's yours?